challenges and opportunities, specifically in your case with the Sheriff's Department, do you think are presented by the continued growth in the county, and what actions would you propose in response to those challenges and opportunities? Mr. Arnold?
Well, the challenges we have within the Sheriff's Office is the growth in the county, and so we have to respond back to that. Our call volume goes up, and so how do we manage that call volume that's going up with the resources that we already have, and working with the county commission if we need more resources? And that's the big thing, is we have to work within our resources. You know, sometimes we have to need more man hours for particular situations. You know, we never know when a barricaded subject is going to come into play within our budgets, but we have to try to plan for that, and that's it with our overtime budgets. We also have to manage our time when it comes to the school resource officers. As schools grow, we need more school resource officers. We put them into our schools. So those are the challenges within that side of it. But also the other challenges that we see is within the community are the scams that are going on within the community, particularly for older generation, also identity theft. And we have to work with these people to figure out what is going on, how these scams are working, getting that information out to the public of, you know, these scams are going on. You need to be aware of it, so therefore you don't fall into that same trap. And then we go out with our community service, I go out myself, and try to educate everybody in what is going on. So those are the resources that we have, and we have to work together with the county commission to make sure we manage our growth and manage our budgets and do it in a good, responsible manner.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Mr. Kennedy.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying I disagree with the current sheriff. He has not managed the budget. He's not been a good steward of your tax dollars. And just like what the mayor said that we're going to be battling growth over the next 10 years. We should double our size in the next 10 years. The current administration, his statement to the media was, I will always shoot for the moon when asking for a budget. And he asked for a 34% increase in budget. And thus we had a 4.1% increase in our taxes last year. And so you as citizens of Rutherford County, you need to be looking at what is the best way to run that department. The best way to run that department is to scale it down. The current administration, what they did is they took officers off the road, they took officers out of the detention and made management positions. And so thus I will scale that department completely down to where we put those officers back on the road, back in detention where they belong, where we need them, where safety is key, where the rubber meets the road. The current administration talks about the money that they saved on ketchup. Well, when you compare that to $300,000 worth of uniforms and badges and patches that he spends, under Sheriff Truman Jones, the budget was for overtime was $350,000. The current budget is $1.1 million. 3 years later, $1.1 million. And I do have an email. This is from Joe Russell, his administrative liaison to the assistant to him, is that by January, that money was just about depleted. So looking forward into the next 10 years, you need a sheriff who will be a good steward of your money.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Trenholm.
The things I feel like we are facing today, people talk about growth, people talk about challenges. Yes, I absolutely agree. With growth, it's going to come increased crime and other things. But their issues are now. They're not 5 years from now. They're not 10 years from now. This is an elected official position for 4 years. When you have a person saying they're running as a conservative with a $30 million budget at the start, and it's $8.5 million 4 years later, where is this going to be in another additional 4 years? When you have IT positions, when you have patrol positions, best I recall when I left, we had 6 or 7 patrol positions. Those positions went into IT positions, which is information technology positions. Are you telling me that IT is more important than patrolling the zones out here in this county to help protect you and I, so the computer system is more important than actually having patrols and such. The fact that we're not policing our own people is humongous. Every single person in here should be really watching what goes on. We had a detention officer who was basically caught spraying a restrained inmate who posed no threat to this person whatsoever, spraying him with pepper spray. I can assure everybody in this room, we all had to take a shot of pepper spray when we went to the academy. It is not fun. One thing you have to do is render aid to that person after you spray a person. Aid was not rendered. The inmate had a spit mask on. If I was sitting in the sheriff's seat, that's not a reprimand, guys. That is a criminal act that should have been presented to the grand jury, and this person should have been indicted. This is the same person who got a DUI and then basically gets hired back. But the word was that he resigned before he got the DUI. And isn't that amazing? The day before he resigned, before he gets a DUI, he comes back, and then they hire him back. He gets arrested again, and we go through transparency. There is no transparency down at that department. Was there transparency for me? Absolutely there was. Was there transparency for Ralph Marisick? Absolutely there was. Was I confronted by a sheriff about having political aspirations for running for sheriff, and then 3 weeks later I'm fired? Yes, guys. This happened. And this is what we've got to look forward to. I totally disagree with that concept. I'm going to be fair to the employees, because that's who we need, the employees. They don't need to be afraid to go vote for fear of retaliation of who they vote for. So those are our challenges. They're current. They're not 4 or 5 years from now.
Thank you, Mr. Crandall. Mr. Armour.
One of the biggest problems we have facing Rutherford County is something that we all have seen over the last 30 years, and that's our growth. Along with growth comes prosperity, jobs, the ability to keep our families together so they don't have to move out of the county. Also, what comes with that is higher crime. Hello? Just one. Hello? There we go. Okay. What comes with that is higher crime, higher taxes because we have a bigger infrastructure. We've got to build more schools. The one thing that we're focusing on right now is the 4 years. The sheriff is a part of a puzzle that belongs to this county that works with all the other departments to prepare for our future. And that's what we need to prepare for now. When we start talking about budgets, crime increases, that means bigger jails. We'll have to have some type of programs to offset that. But we'll also going to have to make sure that we are preparing for not just the next 4 years for the sheriff's administration. We're going to prepare for the next 10 or 15 years. Your children, your grandchildren, their children are going to need to stay in Rutherford County to keep our families together. As sheriff, that's something we need to do. You know, the days of the sheriff are going out and throwing the bad guy in jail, and that's where we need to go with it. The sheriff now is a manager. He has to prepare, he has to work with everyone else to make sure that our infrastructure is together. That's what I want to do with you today. I want to make sure that as a temporary employee, and that's what all an elected official is, a temporary employee. He comes in, he gives back to the county, he gives up what management experience he has, he prepares your department, and it's your department, it's not the sheriff's department. It's the employees that work there, it's the county taxpayers. Once we work together, and we prepare for that future, that's with the mayor's office, that's with the county commission, that's with the city police departments and the city administrators for all the other cities. We've got to work together as a team. You as a taxpayer, look at us as your government. But another thing too, and I'm going to completely change gears, along coming with this growth, we've got to maintain a piece of paper that sits in Washington, and that's our Constitution. And you've got to have someone sitting in the sheriff's department who understands that Constitution is the foundation of our country. I've spent the last 34 years putting violent criminals in jail, but we've got to maintain our values in this country, and that Constitution, if we ever erode it, is going to crumble our foundation. My time's up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Armour. Third question, we thought it was appropriate since we have candidates for both mayor and sheriff here, and here's the question. In what ways could the county mayor and county commission work better with the sheriff?